Please welcome Paul Trillo, director and co-founder of Asteria Films.
All right, test, we good? Hi, how's everyone? Is this gonna play? There we go. How's everyone's upscale? It's good, everyone's getting upskilled at Upscale? Yeah? Tired? Cool, well, thank you for sitting in. Thank you, Upscale, for having me back in my hometown. It's always nice to be here. I'm Paul Trillo. I'm a filmmaker, director, media artist, and co-founder of a studio called Asteria. And today I'm going to talk about, there's a lot of talk about, the promise of these tools, what this is going to liberate creatively for people. I think it's important to kind of step back a little bit and understand why you would create something and why would you use AI, and what do you have to say. So who am I? I'm still figuring it out, actually, but I have a rough idea. I'm an amalgamation of things I can't control, so sorry. My background, I went to school here in San Francisco at California College of the Arts, doing experimental film, media arts, teaching myself how to do VFX, and I think all of that stuff is kind of like, it's been stirred in the pot and kind of come out in my work. Teaching myself After Effects and VFX in high school, and using that as a kind of to my advantage to do things that I think maybe other people at my age range, like, they saw a barrier there with learning some of the VFX tools, and I saw it as like a superpower, and quickly was, coming from the kind of conceptual art side, looking at the VFX tools as a way to do things, to unlock ideas that were only possible because of the tool. And so I started to take a more experimental approach when looking at VFX, so using tools in the ways they weren't designed. That the previous examples were things I used green screen or chroma key techniques and found ways to break the tools. And then I started playing throughout my career with different kinds of cameras, infinite zooms, bullet time, drones, camera rigs, and moving the camera in ways it wasn't necessarily designed. And I think when you kind of look at these tools upside down and break them and use them in a way they weren't designed for, that's where like the real innovation can happen. So across my career, because I've always been pushing myself to like do something that I hadn't done before, it has led to a lot of different projects. It's led to a lot of different aesthetics and a lot of different techniques. And zooming out, it felt like a bit scattered. Like, what is my voice? What is my style? How do I, is there fingerprints that are left or that you can feel when you watch something that I worked on? And I guess I was getting kind of self-conscious that it felt like very scatterbrained. And so I was trying to see it from what is the unifying factor across all my work, and thinking about things conceptually turned out to be, I think, that kind of through line. And then after that, I was, questioning myself of like, okay, why am I doing these things? And do I actually have something to say beyond just kind of showing off different techniques and tools and all that stuff? And am I, acting out of like true creative intention, or am I trying to capture a moment and write on a gimmick? Is this really my voice? Am I mimicking the voice of someone that I admire? These are all things kind of that like swirl in your head as an artist. And when you are saying something, are you saying the thing that is true to yourself? Are you being honest? Are you kind of listening to your intuition? And do you sound distinct? Are you saying something because you think that's what you should be saying as a feedback loop of your own identity of I say this thing because I think this is something I would say? Or is this something that you feel like is actually contributing to the world and to media and to the art form?
To watch.
Oh, sorry.
To breathe life into
Turn that
barren
down a little
land.
bit. Forgot to mute that.
And simply watch the earth around you.
And I think what you have to think about is like, are you actually saying something new? And that doesn't have to be as radical as it sounds to say something new. It can be as small as like just your life kind of experience giving a slightly different perspective on something that has been done before. And can you go down well-trodden paths and find your own perspective on it, and that you're not just adding to the noise of things that are out there, but you're actually provoking it and pushing it forward. And so I think you have to ask yourself, as you create infinite content with AI, are you actually contributing to the greater good, or are you just contributing to the noise? And as you make your work, or as I have made my work, you have this through line, this kind of conceptual through line for my work was form and function kind of working together, where the technique sort of amplifies the concept amplifies the technique, but not to kind of stay doing the same thing over and over again, and let your voice evolve. Let yourself say things that you maybe wouldn't have said at the beginning of your artistic career, but you've gotten to a place in life where you feel like you can expand what it is that your voice can do. So that squeaky voice of yours that you had years ago may still be there, but it may have dropped a few decibels, or maybe it's more polished, or maybe it's more raspy. But you should always look for ways where you can create that through line in your work, but also continue to find ways to evolve. So this is, on the left, a piece I did in 2012. It was a short film called Truncated Story of Infinity, mouthful, and it was about the multiverse, before the multiverse was cool, I think. And so it used all these different techniques of like visualizing the multiverse, again, 2011, 2012. And very naive. It was, just kind of crude stop motion there. And the later is 10 years later, and the latter image, is 10 years later, using DALL-E 2 in 2022, at the beginning of 2022. I was a beta tester for DALL-E, and I immediately, wondered not like what could I create with an AI image generator, but what could I create that has, that is something that I control and that I'm guiding. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll revisit this technique of the objects changing in the hand. And so I shot a video. I'm in the edit room. That's my hand in the edit room of like a commercial. And I shot a video as soon as I got DALL-E access, and then uploaded each image frame by frame and like stop motion, and was seeing, could I create something like I did before, but could I create something like a new version of that? And I instantly kind of recognized that, by doing asset generation, lighting, and compositing all in one go, that was going to be a paradigm shift for the visual effects industry. And so I kind of kept leaning in. These are other early experiments, again, 2022, 4 years ago now, using diffusion models. I had played with GAN models back in 2020. And it was very exciting, and I found like a new cadence and rhythm to experimenting that I hadn't had since I was in college, where I could rapidly experiment and try ideas and go back to my kind of weird experimental roots and do these ideas that maybe could have cost me, a month or 2 months to test out. I'm testing out now within a week, and honing and sharpening my voice and finding things to say that are actually maybe more authentic to what I want to say. And so what I was realizing with AI is that it can actually help you find your voice sooner. So, when you're just starting out, this is just again, let's imagine a world pre-AI. It can take many, many years to kind of hone in on what it is that you do that is your distinct thing, what you're known for, and there's a lot of trial and error and failures and things you learn from your failure, and then you kind of feed that back into the loop of like your next project. And by being able to rapidly iterate, actually I'll just go back 1 second. By being able to rapidly iterate and experiment faster, I was finding myself doing things, creating visuals that were more exciting to me than like the year's work that I was doing before. And I was like, oh, I'm actually like getting to the thing that I want to be doing sooner now. And so for people that are just starting out, I think you can look to AI as a way to get to your voice and get to your thing sooner. But for artists that have been doing this prior to AI, I view AI as a sort of performance-enhancing drugs. So those that have spent the years honing their voice, spent their 10,000 hours honing their craft, and have something to say, can now use their discerning eye to know when something's bad and know when something's working, and use their taste and their craft to wield it in a way that they couldn't wield before. So this is a project I did for an LA music artist, Kuko, who is, he's been collaborating with another artist, Paul Flores, and this was a project we did together, taking original art, working with original animation, and seeing where we can accelerate. So the artists, Paul Flores and the animators that were hired on this project, giving them performance-enhancing drugs to do projects that they couldn't do before. These were the hand-drawn storyboards that I had done. My prompt that I was given was just make something weird. And I was like, all right, I can do that. So I just threw out the kitchen sink of like a bunch of weird ideas. Paul Flores built a data set, built it by drawing by hand for about a month. He created 65 assets in response to the storyboards. That became the training data that was the foundation of the entire project. So that was not only the foundation for creating infinite assets for the project, so we could build out a whole world of assets, but it also became the foundation for the actual style transfer. So for the 2D animation work that we were doing, we could style transfer it back into Paul Flores' work. There's a little clip from the video. So this particular shot is pretty crazy, and trying to kind of combine every type of animation possible, I guess. So Kuko here in the center, that's drawn 2D animation. It then gets style transferred through Paul Flores' style, so we're doing kind of ink and paint on that. Some of the characters there are drawn by hand, or original art. A lot of them are AI generated. Some of them are animated by hand. Some are animated in AI. The background is 3D warped, and then run all through Animate Diff. So this was before video models. And so it's amalgamating, and the backgrounds are this background is AI, that one's Blender. So it was kind of just blending the whole process together and seeing where traditional artists can leverage these tools. This feels novel at the time now with seed dance and how easy style transfer can be, but nearly 2 years ago now, like this was November of 2024. This felt like a major breakthrough. So we had 2D sketches done by the animators, and actually just part of the constraints of the timeline of the production, they had to animate so many frames in a short amount of time that they were actually asking me, like, hey, could you guys think you could like use AI to like ink and paint this? Because the ink and paint process is a very redundant process where you draw the keyframes, then you fill in the in-betweens, and then you ink it, and then you color it. So you're kind of drawing the same drawing over and over again. And we were looking at the AI process as like a studio to kind of find efficiencies in that pipeline, but also could we add detail and do things that aesthetically are interesting. So Paul Flores has this kind of R-crumb, like stippled ink, kind of very detailed style. And it was not only inking and painting the work, but it was adding details that normally would have been very hard to scale on a production. So this is showing some of the original 2D animation work, and then all the dots that get applied to it. The animators specifically told me, like, don't make me draw all those damn dots. Like, I can't do that. I'm going to kill my hand. And so, I saw that as an opportunity to use these tools and respond to what the 2D animators are saying, and seeing like where we can kind of, again, find efficiencies, but up the production value and do something that feels different. This is a project I did with my wife, who is an oil painter, and similar to Paul Flores, who kind of comes from the arts world, has never been able to cross that threshold into doing animated work. So this is a little piece of that. I'll show another clip in a second. So these are her oil paintings. These are large scale, almost this size oil paintings that she does. And yeah, she could, she thinks from a narrative standpoint, but her work is so detailed, you could never scale this for an animated project, right? So again, it wasn't just about like, oh, I could use AI just to do something faster. It was literally enabling something that was actually staying more true to her voice, and it was carrying the DNA of her brushstrokes into the final art. And it was allowing her to express herself in a new medium that she, was never allowed to kind of dabble in. Here's a side-by-side of some of the clips from the film and then some of the original paintings. So this was, again, all done style transfer, where we're shooting things, animating things in After Effects, compositing things, and then we trained a custom model on her paintings and created a video model from 2D artwork, which also was kind of novel at the time, and we're able to kind of recreate her fingerprints in the final animation. So that takes us to The Most Perfect Person, a short film I just released a little less than a month ago, which specifically is about the artist's voice and not losing your voice to AI. So I will show some clips of it so you guys can get a sense.
So, Poppy, how are you feeling? We understand that you're under a lot of pressure. The fans, press, the constant need to be on. Perhaps this is an opportunity to give your anxious mind some rest.
See, with Aura, you'll never say the wrong thing. You'll never be indecisive. You'll never disappoint anyone. You'll always have the perfect words to say at the perfect moment.
Hi, I'm Poppy.
You won't want to do that, trust me. Just take a look at all the terms and conditions, please.
Basic stuff to allow us to digest your entire digital footprint. Then you can go about your life, free of any doubt and anxiety. A life where you can truly be the perfect person.
Hello? Hi, I'm Poppy. Hi, I'm Poppy. Hi, I'm Poppy. Do you ever wonder if you're real or in someone else's dream? You're going to live forever. The future is strange to me. Time is like a transparent cube with light shining through it. It's 3:36. Oh no, my favorite food is donuts covered in Fruit Loops. Poppy loves you all. But only the most perfect can be Poppy. Maybe we should go back. Poppy isn't here to make you feel bad, but you're just not right. I wonder what this plant thinks. Dopamine or the dingbats. What is your favorite word? Satan is God. Congratulations, we are now one. Please repeat after me. I will always do and say the right thing. Because I am the most perfect person. I am the most perfect person who will always do and say the right thing.
I haven't told anybody this yet, but I'm also pregnant.
Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Did you know pregnancy lasts approximately 280 days from the last menstrual period? Did you know elephants have a gestation period? An elephant's gestation period is about 22 months.
All right, so that's the most perfect person. Those are just clips. The whole thing's like 17 minutes long. It's on YouTube, on Poppy's channel, if you want to watch it. And it came out of, I guess I'll set the film up, because it's a little confusing to look at on its own. Poppy did a performance art piece a couple years ago that I thought was very interesting, where she, Poppy has a very strong but niche internet following on YouTube. She's got her whole lore, and she trained on her hundreds or thousands of YouTube videos an LLM that took her voice, took the tonality, the kind of bizarre David Lynch kind of style in which she addresses camera, and made an LLM that speaks in that specific cadence and style. And she got an earpiece and was doing these sort of live interviews where she was letting her LLM, trained on her videos, feed her all the answers. So it was her, but it was not her. It was a character that she created, and it was a sort of mirrored reflection of that character being fed through her, and she was letting it dictate everything she said and did on stage. I thought it was fascinating and hilarious, and so we built this, we made this film around the idea, taking kind of pieces from her life and mixing together reality and fiction and real material and synthetic media, and blending it all together to make the audience kind of question what they're seeing. And the real kind of point of the piece is to, is Poppy finding her true voice. So when I spoke to her originally, I asked her, like, would you ever use this earpiece in real life? And she thought about it, and she said, well, I do these fan meet and greets that take 2 hours of my day, where I have to say the same thing to fans, and it's like sort of mentally exhausting, especially when you kind of have social anxiety. Speaking to fans over and over again is just very draining. I would love to just be on autopilot where someone's just telling me what to say. I thought that was a very interesting answer, and there was tension there for a short film. And so that was kind of the basis of that. But the film ultimately, I'll let you guys see it if you're interested online, but it ultimately takes a sort of not pro-AI stance, a sort of negative AI stance, in that it's what do we lose when we let the machine give us all the answers? Are we really being true to ourselves? Are we really saying the things that we want to say? Or are we just taking the easiest answer? Are we doing the thing that we think we should say? And I thought it would be interesting to make a film that was slightly critical about AI, or at least the pitfalls of AI, and what it could do, the damaging kind of effects it could have on culture, by using a bunch of AI techniques. So throughout the film, there's AI visual effects. That's a AI asset that's being used in the corner there. We did AI depth maps to kind of create these surreal visual effects. And so it was sort of to challenge both the pro AI crowd that I think knows my work as leaning heavily into AI and make them kind of think about it a little bit, as well as the anti-AI crowd who looks at this film and they're like, oh yeah, Poppy's anti-AI, and then they get confused because there's a bunch of AI visual effects in it. And really, it's just a matter of like saying what we want to say and not kind of picking a side there. But I think it is important to remember, if the machine does the speaking for you, then what are you even saying? It is designed as an amalgamation machine. If you do not fine-tune these models, if you do not train them, as we saw in the Kuko film and in my wife's film, you are letting the machine give you the most average, basic answer possible, because that is the most efficient route for AI to work. It's taking large amounts of data and giving you what it thinks is the most desired result. And a lot of people just accept that as they're like, oh, that's good enough. And so I think it's important to push back on the machine and not to always rely heavily on what the machine is going to give you, because there's nothing specific there. Sometimes an artist's first idea can be the best idea, right? If you're just taking a walk and you let ideas kind of filter in through you, and you can kind of find your voice, and you have to find these moments throughout your day and throughout your week where you can actually let yourself hear yourself. And sometimes a brilliant first idea will just kind of like drop into your head if you're kind of receptive to it. And AI's first answer typically is not the best answer. It's not the right answer. And if we let that kind of take over our voices, and then we're not really kind of growing as people. We're not growing as humans, as artists, and we're just kind of like cycling the barf that comes out of the AI, and we're just barfing it back into the internet. Then AI scrapes the barf and makes a new model trained on barf, and that's how you get slop. And you're letting code drive all your creative decisions and not really pushing culture forward. And so I think as we like barrel into this new world of code that is driving art, we have to be very careful about what the pitfalls that come from that, and that we're still challenging ourselves to actually say something. I don't like the sound of my voice. I'm sorry that you had to hear it for the last 30 minutes, but that is the only voice that I have. That was the voice I was born with, so that's the one I'll use.
Thank you for watching me. Why are you watching me?
All right, thanks everybody, appreciate it.